Run game. Sometimes you die by the one-run game, and tonight the Rangers died a slow and painful sort of death in a one-run game. Hi there, and welcome into the early morning edition of the Rangers DLLS Rangers podcast. It's John Radigan here with Jeff Wilson. We're both at home doing this, as is the prophet Elijah Smith. We hope that you are at home too, watching this as we try to put it into some kind of decent perspective. Jeff, this is one of those classic gut punch losses, though.
Yeah, they look, the Rangers gave it away. You can point to the ninth inning and the mistake that Tavares made, but of course, Wyatt Langford lost that fly ball in the third inning that eventually led to 2 Oakland runs. But you can point to other things too. The Rangers loaded the bases twice, granted with 2 outs, and didn't score. Luke Jackson walked a guy who's batting 167 in the ninth, and deGrom, while he was great, he had a chance to get out of the inning without any damage done, and he hung a slider. Luke Jackson had a chance to get out of the inning, hung a slider. So there are a lot of things, a lot of ways a lot of fingers to point is what I'm trying to get to. And then the offense only scored 3 runs, and in one, they did all in one inning on 3 solo homers. Got to score more than 3 runs. So yes, the Leote mistake is glaring, and it's a pattern because he's done it a couple times this year, and you don't like to see it, but they just gave it away in a lot of ways.
They did. That is sort of one of those things, though, in combination with the other mistakes we've seen Leote make out there it seems like actually most of them have actually been on the road, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I mean, in this case, it just seemed like he took his eye off the ball, Jeff, and that becomes a concentration thing, and it's got to be a frustration, for management.
Well, I'm sure he was trying to see where the runner was going and all of that stuff, and because I think every outfielder thinks they can throw the guy out no matter how fast he is or what the situation is. But it was just a bad mistake. He really wasn't in front of the ball. If he had been, it might have hit off his leg and might have kept the runner from getting to second. And then you have first and third, let's say. And you're looking at a tie game and not a loss, and you're looking at extra innings. So, it's it is somewhat of a concern. I mean, and after the game, Dave Raymond was talking about how Leote hates the cold, and you think of the mistakes he made. One was in Chicago, and I can't remember if he made one in Seattle or not, but these are cold weather venues, and you see these outfielders, Adolis and Lawrence Butler on the other team, like it's snowing 3 feet outside. That's the way they're dressed. So, there is a thought in baseball, and David Ortiz was a big proponent of it. He said he didn't start hitting until it got warm. Well, guess what? The cold weather games count too. So I don't know what they're going to do though. I saw the chat before we came on, and there are several people.
It looks like I may be on again, so we'll keep forging through this as somehow late at night. It doesn't seem like there'd be a lot of internet traffic out there, but the prompt here telling us that maybe there's a little too much internet traffic. Maybe that's because of what else was happening in sports on this night, a draft night, as it were. But the Rangers had us all poised to celebrate. That was about to be the kind of win that you could really celebrate. And instead, it becomes the kind of loss that you really you'd love to forget, but it'll be one of those that's hard to forget. You know, Jacob deGrom, Jeff, he had 2 earned runs. In some ways, it almost seems like those runs should not be earned. I get that that's not an error out there when you lose a ball in that kind of a sky, but and look, this is a young player and this is a brand new place for them. But that's a very that's a tough way to earn 2 runs.
Yeah, and it is strange that it happened in the third game of the series, and and what Mike Bassick said's real. There's a tricky sky right at dusk, and not having a third deck, that's something that is legitimate. It really is, and maybe the lights aren't very good. A lot of minor league parks don't have great lighting. And it's really a problem for night games and spring training. You'll hear guys complain about not being able to see the ball in night games of spring training. So, Surprise Stadium doesn't look all that different from Stutter Health Ballpark or Sutter Health Ballpark, whatever the hell it's called. So yeah, I mean, this was a screwy series. No excuses though. Should have won tonight's game. Bottom line is they should have won tonight's game. And you wonder, the lineup sure looks like it's missing Corey Seager. I know it's only been 2 games, but I would have liked to have seen him back there instead of Jock Peterson in the 3-hole. Just some things that went wrong, and unfortunately they went wrong at a really bad time there for Leody Taveras and Luke Jackson. But some people in the chat are asking, well, what are we going to do with Leody's defense? Call up Evan Carter now. Look, Evan Carter hit a 3-run homer tonight. That's awesome. He went 1 for 5 in his batting,
Yeah,
180.
so lots of mistakes in this one made, and not just made by Leody Taveras and Wyatt Langford, but Jeff mentioned it at the top of the show. I don't know that you'd necessarily call them mistakes, but the big picture, it is a mistake to leave that many runners stranded when you get the bases loaded in more than one occasion. The reality is, Jeff, all 3 of the runs scored on solo home runs. I mean, if Josh Young hits his bomb 2 innings earlier, it's a grand slam. But, in that at bat, he popped out to the second baseman, thrilled that he came back and got a home run. But sometimes timing is very important on that too. And if it gets to 4-0 in the first inning, this is a different ballgame.
Yeah, not scoring there early on was costly, because he had a chance to get this guy who's making his 3rd start of the season, JT Ginn, and it looked like he kind of settled in there until the home runs. He thought he'd kind of found a groove there, and that you lament making these mistakes. And then the A's bullpen was really good. A bunch of guys you really never hear of unless you're a really good fan of the American League West, and they got the job done. And the Rangers bullpen was looking like it was getting the job done, and just didn't, or didn't at the worst time. I do wonder, I think that's the first time Luke Jackson has gone an inning plus. I thought that was
Right.
a little bit interesting. Going with him there, you could have gone, I guess, with Armstrong in the 8th to get out of the 8th. Maybe it looked like the slider was the pitch against Rooker, so good call there, I guess. But did that affect Luke Jackson? I don't know. And again, he didn't pitch terribly, but that walk was pretty costly.
Yes, it was. Of course, it came back to bite the Rangers, and the A's take the series 2-1 in this case. And it shows once again, Jeff, just sort of the game of inches nature of this game. But it also shows that the offense, for as excited as we were on Tuesday night and the way things went. And granted, Corey Seager, at least at the start of that game, was in there. But this offense is not fixed. It looks like maybe it's getting better, but it's not healed.
No, it's not. And I thought Jake Berger had a decent game, even though he was hitless. The Jacob Wilson kid robbed him once, and made another decent play up the middle to prevent another hit. Josh Smith lined out, and um, to end one inning, and I thought he hit the ball well there. So there are signs within the loss, but gosh, after the 8 runs the other night, you're thinking, oh, woohoo, these guys are here they come. But your momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher, and Sears was pretty good, and then this guy Ginn tonight was good enough. I know he gave up the 3 solo homers and they got him out kind of early, but nevertheless, he didn't give up the 6 or 7 runs, that were ripe to be given up. He made pitches. That pitch he made to Josh Young. Josh Young swung at a 2-0 fastball and jammed himself. And some of that is being overly aggressive. You gotta know your zones in those situations and where you're hot. And if the ball's not there, don't swing. All right. Wait for your pitch. You're still ahead in the count. You're still in the driver's seat there. But yeah, again, that's I don't want to say nitpicking, because those things all play a part in it. But to not score early on, to not have a chance to widen that lead or create a big margin, that ended up coming back to bite the Rangers as well.
Yeah, it did, and it in some ways it felt to me just watching like Jacob deGrom, and it'll be interesting to hear what he says because I know he's very critical of his performances. But it felt to me like he was really hitting his spots tonight. Now, granted, that low part of the strike zone was something that was well utilized tonight by our home plate umpire, and that was fine because Jacob deGrom lives down there, and it favored him some. That said, it felt to me like he was really hitting his spots.
Yeah, I mean he is hard on himself, but he will, and I'm sure he said it to the group there. The pitch he threw to Soderstrom that drove in the runs in the third, you could tell he was disgusted. You could see
Sure.
it in his reaction. He knew he made a bad pitch, and he'll be accountable for that. He won't blame anything on Wyatt Langford. He'll be like, well, I let the number 8 hitter get 2 hits off of me. That stuff's on me. So, but he did pitch well again. I mean, and it keeps getting better, I think. And and that's another thing. If that play is made, all right, let's say that play gets made, Jacob deGrom probably finishes the 6th, right? So, he had
Right.
to throw all those extra pitches. So he probably gets through 6. Maybe he gets into the 7th, and can, you have more options later in the game there. So, don't overlook that aspect of the play. And a lot of outfielders have been there and they hate it, and it's a helpless feeling, I'm sure. And we know Wyatt Langford, and I'm sure, was really upset about it. But uh, you know, there's still other ways to pick a guy up. And again, DeGrom missed on the slider, um, and then the offense didn't score after the 4th inning or before the 4th inning.
Right.
They only scored in 1 inning.
Yeah. 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 You need to spread those runs out a little bit more. And you can certainly see that, as Mike Bassick talked about, you mentioned that not having that upper deck, that ball gets into that sky so much more quickly. And that's where you lose it. And where Wyatt was, really wasn't even. A lot of times guys do that and you're almost afraid the ball's going to land on them because they don't see it and it could hit him. He was a ways away from that ball. It seems like almost he never saw that ball.
Yeah, I mean, he missed. He was like 20 feet away from it. It wasn't even close. And it was but he so casually went over there. I guess you go where you think it's hit, and
Well, he
then you
could never really pick that
yeah.
one up. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to take for the Rangers, who lose it tonight, I should say, this morning, as it were, by a final. A very unfortunate 4-3 final. So we've got more coming up as we continue to try and break this one down. We'll also look ahead to the series coming up in San Francisco. But we first pause some talk about some of our favorite people here on the DLLS Rangers podcast. And we want
Well,
to tell you about that Lone Star Smokeout. Man, what a weekend next weekend will be in and around Globe Life Field, AT&T Stadium. The Lone Star Smokeout is a combination of a barbecue competition and country music and a huge happy hour and an early Cinco de Mayo celebration. It is an awesome opportunity for each and every one of you to go do some of your favorite things in the world. Watch baseball, eat barbecue, drink beer, listen to country music. It's all right there in walking distance at the Lone Star Smokeout. So make sure you go on to the website there and get yourself some tickets to the Lone Star Smokeout. It is next weekend at AT&T Stadium, and we are awfully proud to be partnering with the Lone Star Smokeout and telling you to get over there. Have yourself a good time next weekend.
yeah, and I can I haven't done it yet, but I could pull out my sleeper money, and I could take my wife and kids and John, probably you and Kathy, and we could
Thank
have
you.
a good time over
Yeah.
there at the smokeout. But I am in a little bit of a rut this week. I'm having a tough week. I was undone by Cole Reagan's groin today. That didn't help. So that kind of stinks. But that's no problem. It's fun. The sleeper, it's daily picks. They're known for their fantasy. Now it's daily picks with the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and MLB all going. It just heightens your sports experience, and you may win a little money. And you can do it for as little as $1. So Sleeper's here to help you. DLS Rangers, they will match up to $100 on a first deposit.
So they call it a shoulder impingement, Jeff, and that is what will send Kamar Rocker to the injured list. And he was sent there today. As a matter of fact, Gerson Garabito was recalled to take his spot on the active roster. And it begs the question, certainly, first of all, did that, and it likely did, right, have something to do with last night's performance by Kamar?
Well, you'd sure think so. Yeah, again, it's not summertime Sacramento. It's a little bit chilly Sacramento. He had to work really hard in that first inning. I think he threw 36 pitches, maybe
Mm,
37. That's a big number. That is
yeah.
a big number. And so he started to feel it. Bruce Bochy said during the start, maybe that was when he threw some more in the second inning, and 27. It just wasn't good. And so if his shoulder was hurting, whether it's a significant thing, and this sounds like it's not significant, sounds like he's going to miss one or maybe two starts, then take care of it now. And I wrote over at our website, if you're a diehard, you can read it. Kind of I don't know, me just thinking out loud. This might be a chance for him to get his mind right too, or to let just kind of catch up on everything. So because he is a rookie. He is a rookie, and he is in, um, going to ballparks he's never pitched at. He's doing things he hasn't done in a long time. I mean, keep in mind here that this guy hasn't had a full season since 2021, and it was in college. Okay. He's been hurt. He's been pitching in an independent league to redo his draft stock. Then he gets hurt again. So he hasn't pitched a while. And then if you want to go all the way back to spring training, you have had multiple people say that he wasn't ready to pitch. He might have been in better shape, but he wasn't ready to pitch. So he had to play catch up there. It seems like it's been a race here. And sometimes maybe, on the road, it's where he's been the worst. He has a 15.75 ERA on the road and 3 road starts. He's been fine at home. John, you know that rookies have trouble on the road sometimes. So anyway, this IL stretch, while it's going to get his shoulder fine or better, maybe it gets his head better. Maybe he can, maybe he can just kind of digest all that he's been through, catch his breath, organize his thoughts, realize what's working, what isn't. He can work on his mechanics. He's not going to be throwing, but you can still work on your mechanics. You can look at video. You can figure out what's been working and what hasn't been working. And then watch the game. Watch how Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom pitch, especially on the road. Watch how they handle environments. Watch how they go out and get ready and when they do it, so that, when you come to the dugout, the timing's still the same as if you were starting at home, and it's a lot here. Foremost is the health, of course, because the Rangers are unhealthy, but I really think he can take advantage of this. Really, it happened with Wyatt Langford last year. Wyatt Langford hurt his hamstring in early May last year, had to go on the injured list. When he came back, it just seemed like he was a different player. So hopefully, there's some ancillary benefits to this IL stent for Kamar.
Yeah, and look, when you think about what he's dealt with thus far, as we mentioned several times, it's been very much an up and down season. What he needs to concentrate on are those ups, right? Especially the start prior to this one in Sacramento. That was by far his best as a professional, and he really had that slider working. He was really landing it, and we really need he needs to really concentrate on what he was doing there. To see if he can replicate that when he comes back. It does in the short term, I guess, for lack of a better word, Jeff, it simplifies things a little bit for the rotation. Now, we were talking that during the 13-day stretch there, it may be necessary or certainly possible to go with the 6-man rotation, but he's out for 15, right? Isn't a pitcher automatically go to the 15?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
15.
So, it may not be, he may not even be eligible until such time as they're almost through that 13-game stretch.
Yeah, but May they only have 3 days off. They're in a stretch of I think 26 games in 27 days, something to that effect. But yeah, I mean Bruce Bochy said before the game that they were planning to use a 6-man rotation here when Leiter came back, and now they can't. They got to go with 5. I mean, yeah, they could if they wanted give Caleb Bosley a spot start, do something like that. Garabito, he can provide some length. Jake Latz was really good, was really, really good last night. So they could do something like that if they wanted. And 2 of those three guys have options, so you could replace them the next day, something to that effect, if it's that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, now it's kind of a crunch time thing for these pitchers who've been, I wouldn't say they've been taking it easy because they haven't been, but there's been off days and time to rest up. Well, now's going to be a challenge here for these guys. Really, you have to go back to the very start of the season where they played the 7 in a row to start the year. They haven't had that issue really, so they're going to have to do that, pitch on 4 days rest like they've done their whole career. It might be a bigger deal for Leiter and Rocker if Rocker were healthy, but anyway, just because of the minor league schedule these days. But it that so the injury disrupts that, but there are ways to maneuver it, massage it. I mean, the good news is that Patrick Corbin, you probably want to see him start again. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
for being perfectly honest, he's been just fine, and uh, he can get you into the 5th or 6th inning. That helps save the bullpen a little bit. He's given the Rangers a chance to win every time he's been out there. It's only been 3 times, I know, but they're 2-1 in those starts. They should be 3-0. So um, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal. I guess the timing could be better though for this injury.
Yeah, and it's probably the kind of thing you wouldn't even bat an eyelash at, except that there are so many guys the Rangers are trying to limit their innings. Tyler Mahle, of course.
Well, it looks like John locked up, guys. But John, you there? You got us? You copy, amigo? All right. I think where he was
Will
going with
help
this
to
is that
do
there.
some of that. You might have otherwise been able to give some of these guys that time off or that little extra spot here and there where they're not putting so much pressure on themselves and they're thus giving themselves an opportunity to be available and to be ready later on in the season. So right now, it looks like the prophet is saying I'm frozen. Is that
You
right,
you were
Jeff?
you were frozen, but you're back.
Okay.
So anyway, that's fine. But I get what you're saying. You have guys who can go deeper in games, but they're also at the same time guys who are coming off of surgeries, and you don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to cook them early. And I
Yeah.
get
And
it.
that's the point I
And
was making when I was frozen.
yeah.
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 Well, and that's why you have some relievers who are an option. So, if you want to give these guys a 5 inning start one day, limit them to five, just eat it and say you're only going 5 innings a day, bullpen's going to work. You can go get somebody the next day. I mean, there are ways to do it. But also, you know, they've looked pretty good the few times they have had to go on five, and I think Evaldi's had to do it. Maybe Malley had to on the last homestand and was really good the second time. So, um, I think these in his case and deGrom's case, they've both thrown 200 innings in their career, so it's not like they don't know how to do it. It's just you want these guys solid at the end of the season, and you still want them to have bullets and not be going on fumes because the Rangers still have these great aspirations, and hey, they can absolutely still get there. There's no question about that, despite these kick in the nuts losses they've had. No, it looks like you froze again. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to talk about Evan
There's
Carter. Oh, are you frozen,
no
John? Are you back?
doubt that this team is going to still be a contender. They have struggled on the road, obviously, winning their first road series of the season in Cincinnati and then losing the next three, right? So they'd like to rectify that in San Francisco. That's going to be a tough place to do it. We'll talk more about the Giants a little bit later. But right now, the concern is that series, and the concern is getting better offensively, and the concern is getting better on the road.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. These guys aren't, they're not very good on the road. You gotta fix that one too. If you're gonna go places, you have to be at least 500 on the road. That's the minimum. And Seattle has been tough for them. We
There,
get that.
am I back?
Um, yeah, you're in and out. Um,
Give it a try
but
here. We're
Seattle's been
both back.
tough. Sacramento's been tough. At least it was this time. Rangers got to straighten it out. They can't have these losing road trips, road trip after road trip. And the next one is Boston and Detroit. Well, those are two good teams. And
Yes.
so and then it's Yankees White Sox. All right, so maybe you do okay in Chicago, but you know Yankee Stadium's Yankee Stadium. So it'd be nice if they could at least get it turned around and closer to 500 on the road by the end of May.
Yeah, and that's really the goal right now, as well as this team's played at home, almost got off to
All right, I think we lost them this time. This time for sure. Well, that's good timing though, because we're about to go to an ad read. But when we get back from the ad read, we're going to go and we're going to talk about the Giants, but also we're going to talk about the bullpen. And I'm going to get to all these Evan Carter answers because John's John's technical difficulties keep cutting me off. But anyway, all that's coming up on the DLS Rangers podcast. But first, LinkedIn is here to help you if you own a business and you don't have time to go through these job applicants and get the word out and all that jazz. Well, you got to go to LinkedIn, all right? Because LinkedIn, they're like your hiring partner. LinkedIn Jobs, when you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. They make it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get good candidates. I mean, there are a lot of hireable people out there on LinkedIn, and they do it all in one place. You don't have to go to a bunch of different websites. It's great. It's really these things revolutionize things for small business owners who already have their hands full. So you post your job, and you can write your job description and get in front of the people you want to get in front of. And here's the deal for you: if you post your job at linkedin.com/rangers, that's linkedin.com/rangers, they'll let you post it for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, and of course, game time. Don't forget about game time. Yeah, it's NHL playoff time, and there's almost nothing better than the drama of an NHL playoff game. Those things it's like a pitcher's duel in baseball in Game 7. A Game 7 in the NHL playoffs, every trip down the ice, one of the teams or the other could change everything about the game. So you need to get yourself some tickets. And get this, as the tickets, even for these high leverage playoff games, there are tickets available on Game Time for these Stars Avalanche or whoever they might play in the next round. Ooh, I'm putting them through to the next round already. But anyway, you can get tickets to those games, and the closer you get to Game Time, the cheaper the tickets become. So go ahead, roll the dice, and get yourself some seats at one of those fantastic Stars Avalanche games. Two of them have gone to overtime already this series. I'm a huge fan of the NHL playoffs. I know most of you are too. So go to Game Time and use the code DLLS, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase on Game Time, although you may have already utilized your first purchase. So, Jeff, we talked a lot about the bullpen. It almost worked, didn't it? It almost was like just how you lay it out, right? With Garcia and Martin and in different order, but in you almost had everything clicking. Martin, then Garcia, then Jackson. After Hobie Milner, who's inserted himself into this mix a little bit, and so. Gosh, it's unfortunate the way the bullpen will probably take a shot for this game, but they were right on the verge of doing just exactly the job they're called to do.
Well, they have no margin for error. When it's 3-2, if they give up a run, it's tie game. If they give up 2 runs, team loses. But Milner came in, did a really nice job. I really like the way he's pitching. And we talked about it, how bad he was in spring training. But he's been terrific. Martin just seems to get the wherever he fits best, whether it's the seventh or the eighth or even both. Just kind of if you looked at the innings, and you could kind of see how it was being planned out, because the A's had some pretty hefty left-handed bats coming up that fit Garcia in the eighth better than Martin in the seventh, and so it all worked out. And the ninth, they even brought in Luke Jackson there to get Garcia out of the ninth or eighth, and then we all know what happened in the ninth. But again, there's no margin for error, and there was a big error, and that just led to a lot of complications and issues, and ultimately a loss. But I think when you look at the bullpen, considering all the nail biting and hair pulling that was done in the off season and spring training, because the Rangers didn't get a big name guy to be the closer. Gosh, this group's been so good. They've exceeded expectations by far. The one concern, if they're going to keep playing these close games, is how do you pace these guys? How do you make sure that you're not killing them, and that they still have stuff left at the end of end of the year. I mean, you look at tomorrow's game and you wonder who's going to be available. I don't think they tax themselves too badly because they didn't pitch Wednesday. So maybe the four who pitched tonight are still available, but probably not Saturday. And then you'd have him for Sunday, but then you're not going to have him for Monday. So I don't know. It's a heck of a situation the Rangers have put them in, and we'll be frank, it's the offense's issue. If the offense was scoring runs and giving these guys a chance to not have to pitch, give these guys a day off, then you're going to be better. But all these close games, and you want to win them, obviously. So you're going to use your best arms, and they're going to work a lot. So they got to win a couple blowouts, and B figure out a schedule that paces these guys, because using four high leverage arms a night, it's not going to work.
No, that's way too much. They've got to get more out of more out of different guys, meaning more. And but to your point, we never expected that Hobie Milner would be a guy in this type of situation, right? Where he's one of the guys you call on every night. Hopefully, Armstrong or a Webb could step up in a similar fashion to what Hobie Milner has done. And then now you've got that depth in the bullpen to have confidence in a number of different guys. Right now, I think Hobie Milner obviously has established himself as a guy they feel fully confident in, and well, they should. I mean, he throws that sweeper, and it doesn't matter if it breaks in on the right hander or in on the left hander and away from the right hander. It's just deadly.
Well, I thought his best pitch tonight though was the fastball he threw to get the strikeout to end the sixth. I mean, it was 87 paint on the inside corner. I mean, and it was a great pitch. And I guess if he's throwing in these frisbees, 87 looks like 97. It just
Sure.
it's his fastball seems to have characteristics, and it just seems to surprise a lot of hitters. It really does. And that's great. And it was Miguel Andujar who took it looking there. And so yeah, great for Hobie, and doing it for his hometown team. I think that's pretty cool. But he really is a kind of a throwback reliever. He would be like a lefty specialist if this was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, a guy who would come in and get one batter 5 days a week, just face one tough lefty and get him. And Bruce Bochy had one. He had Mike Myers on those Giants teams. Kind of a similar guy, funky arm angle, except Hobie's pretty good against right-handers. He's actually got better splits against right-handers. So I think they feel comfortable with him getting both guys out, but especially lefties. And he's a Mike Maddox kind of guy. Mike Maddox always loves to have a change of pace, funky guy who can just come in and kind of screw things up. So good job for the Rangers identifying Hobie as a rebound candidate, signing him on the cheap. And obviously we got a long way to go. We're still in April, but he's been a wonderful little surprise for the Rangers.
Yeah, you mentioned that April thing, and the ups, really, the home series, all of them, every home game, every home series has been, so high. And other than that Cincinnati series, the road series have been so low. It feels like we've had a lot of season already. The reality is there's not much, but the highs and lows, I think, make it feel like that there's
Oh, they're tight ball games, and they're kind of stressful. They're stressful to watch. They're stressful, I'm sure, to manage. I mean, Bruce Bochy had said early in the year he was asked about it, and somebody said,
30
hey, Boch, what do you think about Boch? What do you think about these close games? He goes, I hope they're not close. We need to start scoring runs. We need some blowouts, and because it's stressful on him, a guy who's won more than 2,000 big league games. But he knows it's taxing. He knows it's mentally taxing. It's taxing for the bullpen, And anyway, they're still back. John, we're going to talk about Evan Carter now because there are a lot of questions about Evan Carter. And a lot of people who, based on, I guess, Leote's error, and Carter did hit a 3-run homer tonight. So obviously, the next logical thing to do is to designate Taveras for assignment and call up Carter. Let's kind of tap our brakes here on Evan Carter. I know he's uh, the future in center field. I have no question about that. He hit the home run tonight, which is awesome. He went 1 for 5. All right. He's batting 180. Now his on base is 349. Okay, good for him. He is stealing bases. He hasn't played back-to-back games. This actually, yeah, he hasn't played back-to-back games since April 9th and April 10th. And April 10th, it was just a pinch hit appearance. Okay, he's not ready. I think the Rangers are still trying to get a hold on this guy, and you can't have a guy who you're going to count on who can't play back-to-back games. They don't want to call Evan Carter up until he can be an everyday player, and even a 4-day-a-week player. He hasn't been that yet. He played 3 times last week. Now he's kind of trending the right way this week to where he's going to play um, more than 3 days, but maybe not. You know, who who knows what's going to happen this weekend? Between apparently visiting specialists and just managing the workload. But um, to his credit, he does have hits, I think, in 6 of his last 7. All right, he is drawing walks, which is good, reaching base, but it's still not quite there yet. So before anybody gets too excited about Evan Carter, you need to look at the whole picture here and realize that that I don't think, and I know I'm based on conversations I had last week, Evan Carter does not seem to be ready to come back and join the big league club. Um, and I don't know that the Rangers are ready for him. They just need to figure it out still, and he needs some things to figure out. So you're going to be if anything is going to happen, it would be Pilar playing more, maybe a defensive substitution late, or Dustin Harris playing more. I wouldn't mind. I guess Leote hadn't played in a while, so Dustin Harris was sitting tonight, but wouldn't have been bad to see Dustin Harris there either. So it'd be interesting to see how it shakes out this weekend. But it's not like you're not going to punish the guy, for making the mistake. It wasn't like he wasn't hustling to make the mistake. Just, it's not like that. It's not a field goal kicker who missed 3 kicks in one game. You're not going to cut him the next day. I think that cooler heads will prevail ultimately, and Leote will, come back and be on the bench tomorrow. But Evan Carter will not be on the bench tomorrow.
Yeah,
Depending on who's pitching for the fighting Giants, if it's a right-hander, I would think that Dustin Harris has a heck of a chance to play. So we'll see. The the Rangers are busing from Sacramento. It's 80 miles, so it's not like they had to. I don't even know if you can fly that far, can you? I actually flew once from San Diego to LA, so I guess you can do it. But I don't know. Those private planes can go wherever they want. But um, anyway, the Giants. We're going to get to it in the next segment. The Giants have been really good, guys, and they started out hot and then they swooned a little bit. But it's going to be an interesting series, and it's a tough place to play, tough place to hit. So it's going to be another tough one, and the Rangers they're gonna have to show up this weekend. They're gonna have to figure out a way to hit in a ballpark where you usually don't hit a lot, and I don't think they have to worry about cleaning up anything major from today. The fly ball thing was a fluke, and then Leote's thing, well, it just happened.
yeah, and as I mentioned, he hits a home run tonight. I mean, you have to take sometimes the good with the bad. He's still a young player, and like you say, it wasn't an error of being completely out of place or not hustling. It was a guy trying to do two things at once. He's trying to find what the runner's doing and catch the ball, and he made a mistake. So, and to your point about Evan Carter, I do fear that this back thing might just be worse than, I don't know, maybe even than they know. It seems like we hear and see frustration from the Rangers people about the continuing, issues of just sort of managing this back situation. It's not an injury, obviously.
Well, the thing that we got to do ad reads. Is it time, Elijah? Let's do ad reads.
Oh, it is.
It's time already.
Yeah, it is time, and I'm repping. I got all my teams represented here tonight. As we love this merchandise that you can get at all. There you go. As we get our merchandise from store.allcitynetwork.com. And there's so many shirts and so many different things that you can get there. We encourage you to do it. We love all of ours. Hats are coming soon. I know that you'll never see Jeff on these airwaves with anything but a DLLS hat once we get those hats. But
we got to get them.
Yeah, first. Yeah, that's step one, is to get those hats. And then once we do, Jeff is going to be all over them. So we'll be hopeful for that. Also, we'll be looking forward to polos and quarter zips. Those really lobbying for. So in the meantime, enjoy these T-shirts, man. It's T-shirt weather out there, and get yourself any number of these. There's some great ones out there. And my favorite right now, I really still think, tonight notwithstanding, my favorite out of all of them right now is Hello Win Column. It gets people's attention. So anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com to get your merchandise from our little network, DLLS.
And you get one for free when you become a diehard. And John, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the NFL draft started tonight. I hadn't heard anything about it the last 2 months incessantly. Good Lord. Anyway, the draft started, but our deal continues. $36 for 1 year. It gets you all the benefits of being a diehard, which means unfettered access to my stuff, Cowboys, Stars, the other team, the basketball team, and then 20% off of our events and the free t-shirt at store.allcitynetwork.com. It's such a great deal. I think this sale ends either Saturday or Sunday. So don't wait. Don't wait anymore. Just go and do it if you haven't done it. You won't regret it. I promise you, you will not regret it. So become a dollar today. All right, here we go.
Yes.
Moving on to the Giants.
We absolutely would love you to do that, and we think it would be wise on your part to become a diehard.
Yeah, I'll be writing this weekend. I'm not going to San Francisco, unfortunately, but we will be covering the series as we always do. Games on 30 games on Ranger Sports Network tomorrow, and I think Big Fox on Saturday, and then Sunday's a national game too. Is that Roku on Sunday? Whatever it is, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But you know, if you haven't been to San Francisco to watch a ball game, you guys should go. It's one of the better parks out there. Right there on the bay, and it does get chilly at night. Day games are really generally very, very beautiful and sunny. It's a fun place to walk around. So I would encourage you to get out there at some point. If you got the money and the resources and the time to do it this weekend, by God, get out there this weekend. But these Giants, they're doing pretty darn good. All right, it's just me again. Maybe John should punt on the rest of the show. I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah. So the Giants, they beat Milwaukee again tonight, 6-5. They seem to be winning in a lot of different ways. whether it's good starting pitching like they get from Logan Webb. Anyway, they're 17-9. They're a half a game ahead of the Dodgers in the NL West, half a game behind the Padres. So it's a heck of a division out there. 17-9, good club, won two in a row, and their run differential is good, plus 28, 7-3 at home. So this is a test for the Rangers. Nathan Eovaldi and Justin Verlander tomorrow night to start it off. That's pretty that's pretty good if you're a fan of pitching and a fan of baseball history. And Verlander was better in his last start. He's kind of had some hiccups along the way this season. He was pretty good last time out. He kind of found some velocity that he hadn't been having for a few turns in the rotation. So good for him. He's always a tough guy to face. The Rangers, it seems like, have faced him for years and years and years. Well, they probably have. He's 41, for crying out loud. But then Robbie Ray, the hard throwing lefty, former Cy Young winner, he's going to pitch the game Saturday. Sunday, the Rangers haven't decided what they're going to do yet. They're either going to go with it would be Corbin's turn, but they could go with Leiter. They haven't decided yet. I would think they would do Leiter, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there to talk to him, but yeah, that kind of seems, if there's indecision, it seems like go ahead and go with the younger guy. But then again, maybe the finger needs an extra day of rest. Anyway, he's going to be facing off against Hicks, who's the former reliever with the Blue Jays and Cardinals, who throws it or can throw it through a wall, but he's got a 6.59 ERA so far as he's trying to second year of this bullpen to starter transition, and it's not going great for him. But uh, again, the park's kind of roomy, and you never know what happens. And it's not like the Rangers are killing the ball right now.
No, that park's a tough place to hit, especially at night, though, as that air gets kind of heavy and cool. The ball just doesn't fly as much, out of that ballpark at night. Daytime, things are quite a bit different there, but the air gets pretty heavy at night, and you don't necessarily get the distance on any kind of a hit. So that
Well, I was mistaken. The game on Sunday, I believe, is back on the Rangers Sports Network. Let me double check one more place. I don't know what's going on with John. John, are you there? I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty interesting when you look at the Giants and you kind of look at their lineup and you're like, man, they don't have like a star player. And they really kind of don't. Oddly enough, like their best player right now is Wilmer Flores and driving in a ton of runs. I think he might be leading baseball in RBI. And he's a nice hitter, but gosh, you don't think of him as being this MVP candidate. But the Korean player they signed last year, he's coming back and has been really good. Lee has been really, really good. I know this because he's on my fantasy team. I also have Yastrzemski, the grandson of T.R. Sullivan's favorite player ever, Carl Yastrzemski. Mike, he plays only against right-handers. He's kind of like Jock Peterson, except a good defensive player. And he was somebody who, kind of was linked to the Rangers. If the Giants hadn't agreed to, sign him, tender him a contract this year in his last year of arbitration, there was some thought that he would be a perfect fit for the Rangers. As it turns out, they did tender him his contract, and he's off to a nice start for them too. 282 batting average. He homered today, so he's up to 4 home runs. Lee is batting 333. Their big offseason signing was Willie Adames. He's hitting only 202. They have Matt Chapman, who's great at third and will hit the home run, but will strike out a bunch too. So it's really a weird club. And let's not forget they have Sam Huff too. He caught tonight. Sam's hitting 200 this year, but it'll be good to see him. I really like Sam a lot, and you wish for nothing but good things for him. And yeah, he's on the big league roster. Had to make the roster, otherwise he'd have to go out on waivers. So good stuff for him. But again, you kind of look at their pitching staff. They have the bullpen. They have Rogers. They have Duvall, who seems to have gotten his head sewn back on straight. Throws it really, really hard. So you got to get him early if you can. Well, Verlander and Robbie Ray might be tough. It's definitely tough when Logan Webb pitches, but the Rangers are missing him this time. But the Giants will have their hands full too with Evaldi and Malley, and then either Leiter or Corbin.
Yeah, and the other thing about Yastrzemski, that's one of Chuck Morgan's favorites because he introduced Mike and he introduced Carl. As he introduced one and the grandson, of the other. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that TR went up to him and uh, last year, I think, and kind of spoke to him and said, "Hey, I'm sure you get this a lot, but I was a huge fan of your grandfather as my all-time greatest player." And kind of checked in on Carl more than he checked in on Mike. But and TR kind of felt embarrassed about it. But um, anyway, it's pretty cool. And but he's not a bad ball player, and he's going to be a free agent next year. And I would think the Giants would want to bring him back, especially if he's been this productive, and he's making 9 or 10 million this year, so it's a pretty affordable situation. He's not going to make a killing in free agency. But it's also, kind of buried the lead because it's happened before. But Bruce Bochy going back to the Giants, where he, won the 3 World Series and is beloved, and you still see people who, even in spring training, who are wearing Giants Bochy shirts at Rangers games, and um, I'm sure he has a ton of ticket requests and a ton of people he's going to have to see and say hello to and shake hands with. But um, he is beloved there. There is no question about that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I was on a trip his first year to Oakland with him, and I know he's been back. I wasn't on the trip to San Francisco, but even in Oakland, there, they may be somewhat rivals, but they love Bruce Bochy in Oakland too, and certainly any of the media. A lot of those media people cover both teams, at least some, and all the media, of course, were glad to see Boch on that very first trip he made as a Rangers manager to Oakland. So it's always special for him. He loves that area, and of course, rightly loves his time that he spent there. His very fond memories of his time in Oakland, or in San Francisco, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. And he still talks about the places he likes to go eat and drink and fish, and he lived there for a long, long time. And um, but yeah, this is I mean, he's hard not to like. You just kind of his demeanor and the way he goes about things and communicates with people and how friendly he is and stories that he likes to tell. I accidentally butt dialed Randy Galloway today. And I told Randy, I said, Randy, you would absolutely love Bruce Bochy. And of course, Randy knows him. Randy knows everybody. But it was pretty funny. And um, anyway, yeah, it's going to be a good series. And like we said, the Rangers need to figure it out. They need to figure it out on offense. Hey, and here's another point. Donnie Ecker was the Giants, came to the Rangers from the Giants. Justin Veely was with the Giants just last year. Maybe they can, feel some of that good mojo from the good seasons they had together and get something going. But um, the Rangers are just still scuffling. You thought you had the breakthrough. Maybe Marcus Simeon plays well because he's back closer to his home than Sacramento, at least. Other side of the base still, but maybe Marcus Simeon plays well. You just hope that there's something there. And at this point, that's kind of what it is. It's hope. Jock Peterson, he's a former Giants player. Maybe he figures something out, or remembers something, or feels good being at Oracle Park or whatever they call it these days. So there's a lot of storylines to follow this weekend, John. But the big one is the Rangers need to win on the road.
They do. They need to figure this thing out. They won their first road series of the season. They've lost everyone since, and it's time to turn that around, especially, as you say, with Detroit and Boston staring at them on their next road trip. So, this one, looked like it was going to start off well. They had that great game in game one where the offense erupted for more runs than they had scored any time this season. And then it looked like they'd win another one of their patented one-run games today. And as it turns out, they fall to 7-2 in one-run games. And the Athletics are now 1-5 in one-run games. That was their first win in a one-run game all season. A heartbreak for the Rangers. We appreciate each and every one of you staying up so late with us tonight. And we, of course, love doing this as a post-game, even after a game like that. So we'll be back on, I guess the next time we'll see you will be the post-game of that San Francisco series. That one won't be quite so late at night. It'll be in the afternoon, late afternoon. So thankfully, we won't be up until after 1 o'clock in the morning on that one. Anyway, and then, of course, we're there all week next week when the Rangers return home. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll see you again Sunday for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.